Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the special meeting for North Branford Planning and Zoning for Thursday, April 4th. In attendance are regular members DeFrancisco, Galdenzi, and Dulac. Our first order of business would be minutes, but we cannot do that because two of us were not there and the other two aren't here now. So what we're going to do is a public hearing for application 2019-3. Let's see. There's two. Now, Carrie, you have two legal. Is it just under one?
It is. You're
okay.
right. So it was advertised in two different papers. It was advertised in the New Haven Register because we missed the deadline for the sound, but it was advertised in the correct amount of time. If that makes sense. We just missed the deadline for the sound.
Do we have to read both?
No, it's the same. I would just
Okay.
read that it was advertised on
21st or 28th?
I would say the 21st in the Register,
Okay.
and then the 28th in the Sound,
Okay.
giving notice that, and then you could go through the description.
So you want to read the legal notice?
That's how you wrote it both.
Oh, yeah. You get my glasses?
No, I didn't
Oh.
know I was gonna get the date back, but you actually did it for me. Thank you, I appreciate it.
I got you.
So these are the legal notices that were posted in the New Haven Register and the Sound. So please insert the following legal ad in the New Haven Register on Thursday, March 21st, 2019. And March 28th was in the Sound. Town of North Branford Planning and Zoning Office, 909 Foxton Road, North Branford. Legal notice, North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given that the North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 4th, 2019 at the North Branford Town Hall, 909 Foxton Road, North Branford, Connecticut, to consider the following. Application 2019-3, text amendment to section 23.2.7 of the North Branford zoning regulations to propose a 12-month moratorium on medical marijuana producers, dispensaries, and retail distribution. Applicant, North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission. At this hearing, all interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communications will be received. Copies of the proposals are on file for public inspection in the Town Hall Planning Department. Harry Dulac, Chairman.
Thank you. In attendance for this public hearing are regular members DeFrancisco, Galdenzi, and Dulac. The reason for this moratorium is when the state first passed the medical marijuana dispensary and retail distribution laws for our state, we thought it would be a time for our town to take a look at the regulations, how it would fit. So if somebody wanted to come in, would they come under agricultural, if they were doing a producer, or if they were coming as retail and distribution, where it would fall. So we started working on putting together, drafting those separately. What occurred is, as through our discussions, we had public hearings on that. I think probably we started about 6 months ago, roughly 4 to 6 months ago. But then the state, after this year's elections, are starting to review that, and they're thinking possibility of going to legalize recreational marijuana. And if that doesn't happen, then they might be able to expand the law as far as medical distribution. They might be doing some expansion in there. So because we were at a point where we're starting to bring it out and make a decision, but since the law may change in Hartford, we thought at this time we would put a moratorium on that for a year until we get a better sense of what the state is actually going to do. Then we can bring that back and bring that discussion to the public of where we should go, both on being a medical medical marijuana production or growing, and retail distribution. So after that, we decided as a group that we would consider putting a moratorium until we get better direction from the state. So that's what we have tonight. So I'm not sure if you have any comments. I mean, you kind of hashed this out pretty good, but I don't know if there's something you would like to add.
I agree with what you said. So, yeah.
So,
Would anybody from the public like to speak on that? I mean, it's a packed house. Somebody has to. Okay. So
I did provide a copy of this proposed text amendment to the town clerk and also to the Regional Council of Governments.
okay.
And haven't heard back from the Regional Council of Governments yet. I think our meeting dates just kind of
Okay.
missed, but I don't see any issue with it. So I have prepared, I don't know if you want to keep the public hearing open, but
I don't think there's any. Well, first,
draft motion, just
okay.
again to go over where in the zoning regulations this would be located, which is the same place as it has been in the past, which is under permitted uses. So it would just list out that medical marijuana dispensaries and producers
Yep.
would have a 12-month moratorium,
Okay.
effective April 19th, 2019.
All right. So being that we don't. Oh, go ahead.
well, I have a question. Did we ever get in touch with our state rep on any updates of what the state's doing right now since we proposed doing the moratorium and everything else, or?
There's been they haven't moved it into the general session. I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology. It's on the floor. I think it came out of committee. The last I heard, it was in committee or coming out of committee where there was a recommendation to move forward with it, but it hasn't been. It hasn't been written yet enough or been brought to the floor of the in the
So there's still a lot
Senate
of
or
unknowns
or the House. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think the last thing was they just made a recommendation that to go forward doing it, and the tax benefit and different things like that, so.
Gotcha.
Can somebody make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. The public hearing is closed. And now if somebody would like to read the motion.
I move to approve with an effective date of April 19, 2019, planning and zoning application 2019-3. It's a petition of the Planning and Zoning Commission to amend the North Branford zoning regulations to amend section 23, permitted uses, by editing the existing paragraph for the purpose of establishing a 12-month moratorium on medical marijuana producers, dispensaries, and retail distribution to read as follows. 23.2.7, medical marijuana dispensaries and producers. The North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission shall not accept or consider any application to permit the establishment of medical marijuana producers, dispensary facilities, and retail distribution for a period of 12 months, commencing from the effective date of April 19, 2019. The reason for this moratorium is to allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to review the State of Connecticut regulation of the Department of Consumer Protection concerning palliative use of marijuana and the associated application process for producers and dispensary facilities, and to draft and/or adopt municipal regulations regarding the production and distribution of medical marijuana within the town of North Branford. The expiration date of said moratorium will be April 19, 2020. Or the effective date of the newly adopted zoning regulations regarding medical marijuana dispensaries, producers, and retail distribution, whichever is sooner.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
So for regular member Sienna is now seated. And Brian, we already did the public hearing portion of it.
Okay.
So for the moratorium. So if you're comfortable with voting, that's fine too. So,
I
what's that?
think a member has to be part of the public hearing, right?
Oh,
to-
sorry. You're gonna have to
Sorry.
abstain.
Right.
No problem.
I'm just testing. Is there any discussion? If not,
I make,
well, no, it's gonna be a roll call vote, so you're gonna have to state your reason. So, since I you
Okay.
can go first.
I vote in favor for the moratorium, as I believe it is wise to wait and see what the state comes forward for their regulations this year and for best interests of the town.
Yeah, I vote to approve for the identical reasons of Alex. I think it doesn't make sense really to move forward until we have clarity from the state what direction they're taking.
And I vote yes on the same premise of both the other commissioners. So that passes 3-0.
For the record, I abstain.
I forgot you're here, it takes me a while.
I view and I get your votes.
You gotta sit next to, when you're late, you gotta sit next to the teacher.
Yeah,
You know, so, I mean, you can't go to the back of the room. Okay, so we have new business, application 2019-5, site plan and 5-year operation plan for Tilcon. And we don't have anything.
This top is also in there. I know Ron's lying.
So this is a plan that I had shown you a few meetings ago, and upon further review, it requires site plan. It historically, I should say, has required site plan approval. So Jim Preddy came in with an application, so we have an actual application. Nothing has changed. Yeah, you should have the.
Jim Preddy with Criscolo Engineering. I believe you folks have already reviewed this plan last month. Nothing's changed, just it was submitted as a review item, and, you know, on further review, we realized that it actually needed a site plan application, so we submitted the application, and it's the same plan, and here we are.
Do you just want to go, any highlights of it? I don't recall from last meeting.
Yeah, so this, you know, this is a typical plan that every 5 years they come in with. It shows where, over the next 5 years, the excavations will occur, the mining operations will occur, the cap rock, and the approximate tonnage that will be removed from each section. This is the same overall plan that's basically used every time. And the group that does this gives us the information, we put it on here, and it just basically shows you where they're going to be mining in the next few years.
And it says new crusher. It's a new crusher, or moving it to this new location, or it's a brand new rock crusher? Just curious. It says new crusher location.
In the part from the 2019-2023 area that you have there, right at the bottom.
It's like a,
Yeah, I think that's,
It's gonna be a new crusher.
Yeah.
First have to help until that.
Yeah.
And they're putting the crusher, is it in the middle of the quarry?
yeah,
Yeah, they're planning on putting the crusher,
that's down at the bottom
yeah.
of the...
And it's more efficiency because we're moving farther out, so they have to drive from the end of the quarry all the way to the other side. It's 2 miles, I think, to get to the existing crusher. So there are plans to put a crusher halfway
Okay.
down.
You're not changing the access.
No.
straightforward, I guess. Can you see this?
I saw it already.
You saw it, yeah. Yeah.
You good, Ryan?
Yep.
Okay.
I move to approve planning and zoning application 2019-5. It's a site plan, 5-year 40 site operation mine plan for 2019-2023. Request under section 35 industrial quarry district to continue to allow the quarry of material at Tilcon located at 1 Forest Road, map 25, lot 12. It's an I-1 zone, owner Tilcon Incorporated, care of Chris Costello, applicant Jim Preddy. care of Priscola Engineering as described in the submitted application and plan entitled 5-Year Mine Plan, Tilcon, Connecticut Incorporated, North Branford, Connecticut, dated February 2019.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Anybody abstain? Just checking. Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure I didn't make a mistake, but
You know, keeping you honest, that's Robert's rules.
that's right, you're right, 100%. Next order of business, it's a planning item. Alona McBroom is going to present an update on our POCD and the survey, the most recent survey results.
Thank you.
You got it.
You should be getting a copy coming around. And then you're also getting a copy of the first draft of the themes and goals. So hi again, I'm Rebecca Auger with Mylon McBroom. So we're just going to give you a quick update on where we stand vis-a-vis the timeline and an update on the last survey results, which were the special study of the project, go over the draft themes and goals, and talk about the workshop that's coming up next week. So we are right on target with our schedule. We still anticipate completing this summer. We are done with updating data and going through all of the analysis, and we've just started with themes and objectives, which is the second handout that you got tonight. And based on next week's workshop and any feedback you have for us tonight, we're going to actually start drafting the plan over the next couple months. So since Pat was here last, we did the town center or town campus survey. We ran that through the month of March. You had 681 responses to that survey. It was down, I think you had about 780 responses to the initial community survey. It's not atypical to see less feedback on a second survey, but that's still a good turnout, and we were pleased with that. There was overwhelming support for community gathering space type uses at the town center campus, as well as a new police station, walking and hiking trails, and a new town hall. When we asked about reuse of some of the existing sites, such as the town hall site, there was strong support for sale and redevelopment of some of those properties. I would say the town hall and the ambulance site in particular. So more complete results, I think, got sent out to you prior to this meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have had on that tonight, but really we're just going to touch on it for now.
I made copies also of the
Okay, great.
PowerPoint from that, with the town center results, which you could look at afterwards, but I think I had forwarded that to each of you.
And it's working hand in hand with the study that Silver Petroselli is doing right now as well. So this information is helping them out. So getting into the draft themes and goals, we try to organize this around the broad sort of themes and then get more specific into the objectives that you're trying to reach over the next 10 years. The actions are really the how. How are you going to try to get there? And that's what we need to flesh out over the next few weeks, and that we're going to try to flesh out with the public in the public workshop next week. But what was sent to you earlier and what I've provided in a handout tonight were those overarching themes such as community character, the economy and infrastructure, and the quality of life, and some of the objectives under those, such as preserving and protecting the town's agricultural lands and rural character under community character, or growing the tax base in areas with existing infrastructure under the economy and infrastructure theme. So these are the sort of overarching objectives. There's a lot of actions that can occur under each of these, and in that second handout, you've seen our first pass at some potential actions under these. We'd like to hear any comments, feedback you might have. This has been vetted by the committee so far, and this is going to be taken out to the public next week. So any feedback you have on whether we're missing something under these broad themes, or you'd like to see us, a different bent on some of them, we'd love to hear that tonight and have any input that you have. So I don't know if you want to take a minute to go through them now, or if you want me to kind of talk about what we're going to do with the workshop, and then we can circle back to this.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So again, the workshop is next Thursday, right? A week from today? Yep. At 6:30 at MBIS again. And we are planning a very interactive workshop where we're going to have some audience polling exercises to try to get to some of the priorities of how to achieve these objectives, and which objectives is the community really keyed into right now. So what becomes more important earlier on in your 10-year planning horizon, what is maybe more of a midterm priority, and what is more of a longer or ongoing kind of priority. So we'll have audience polling exercises, and then we're also going to have some stations set up, again, under those broad themes and goals. We're going to have exercises such as what you see up here, where the objective is protecting, connecting, and enhancing open spaces and natural areas. We've put up our first pass at action steps on what the town can do to advance that objective. And we're going to ask people whether they like that strategy, don't like that strategy, if they have suggestions for other information. On each of the exercises, we pull out some of the data analysis that we've done thus far to help educate people so that they're making informed choices on and prioritizing these with some information behind them. So we're going to have, I believe, 6 or 8 of these around the room, and we'll ask people, we'll have multiple staff members there again to help guide people through the process, get a little input from them, and then we'll come back and report out some of the information that we've heard. So we think this will be a good way to structure some input to really help us as we start to draft the plan.
Yeah, are you using the outcomes like to set a concrete direction? Or is it one piece of?
It's one piece of.
Okay, good, I was gonna say, because I was at the first one and.
Small number of folks.
Yeah, I just think it was very familiar faces that are very active, and that skews the result from a town, right?
Yes.
So as long as it's one piece.
It's
okay,
one
I
piece.
figured it was.
And you had very good survey results, community survey
Yeah,
results,
exactly.
and that is
That's-
helping set some of the
That's where I
strategies
was
we're
heading.
coming
It's
up
like
with.
You have
Yes.
you have like 780 survey
Exactly.
results and 30 people that, if they're setting the direction, then you just have to be careful.
Yes.
You know that already.
Agreed. But also, we'd encourage you to try to get more turnout to the next meeting
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
it's worthwhile.
And then we also have, you're a little unique in doing your POCD update this time around, in that you specifically asked to incorporate the strategic plan, where we're going to develop sort of criteria or a system for the community to weigh potential investments over the next few years and your community priorities when it comes to actual dollar, monetary expenditures. So while we start drafting the POCD, we're also going to be working on this set of criteria, and the POCD steering committee is going to help usher that along, but we didn't want you to think that that had gotten left by the wayside. That is still a component of the project. And then just another area that we were looking to get a little bit of input from you on tonight is just in terms of the structure of your current POCD, how it's laid out, the format of it. How is it working for you? Would you like to see it in a slightly different format? A lot of communities are going to, a much more succinct, less narrative-based plan. You have a great action agenda in the back, typical of the kinds of plans we produce. We assume that you would like to continue with that action plan where you're very clear on who the lead agency is, what the priority is. So we would like to do that again. But as far as the narrative, in your action agenda, actually as it's set up now, you refer to page numbers to go find more information on what this objective is. Some of the plans that we're doing now, what we do is actually just pull out the relevant objectives and the relevant data supporting why this is an objective for the community, almost in a bullet fashion. You have all of the data analysis in an appendix in the back, because your town agencies actually do need that information as they're applying for grants over the long term. But do you need to craft a whole narrative around all of that data and analysis when some of it might not really be feeding any of the objectives? So that's just a question for you. If you'd like to see changes to the way the current document is structured, or you're comfortable with the way it is now, it works for you, you'd like to see it, the update be more in the lines of what you have now. Open to input on that tonight as well. And I think,
Yeah, I mean, when we went through the process, that was one of the things that we wanted to basically change, because it was very, what's called bulky,
yeah,
and like you said, you have to go all over the place.
right,
And I think maybe for the committee to read it, because we've kind of, the old one,
Yep.
we knew what to do.
Yep.
But I think the key to the POCD is making it bullet point, very simple, succinct, so any member of the community wants to look at it, they don't have to fish through, I can't remember how many pages it was, but it was fairly thick. Make it a quick, the bullet points, and then if they want to see the supporting facts, they go to the appendix. It'd be very simple.
okay,
So I think that's the consensus of which direction we wanted to go in.
okay, great, great,
Yeah, and I would agree that the action table is very useful for me, and that's something that I reference all the time. And I think the page reference isn't necessarily, required, because like you say, there may not be a section to write
Right.
about for each item on the list, so I think that's fine. The
okay,
more succinct, the
the better,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, really, the heart, so to us, the heart of the plan is that action agenda and the future land use plan map. And that's what we're gonna start with when we start actually drafting the POCD. So we anticipate we'll turn that around to the committee pretty quickly, and then we'll continue to work on the entire document. When we come back to you next time, we hope to have an entire document, including that action agenda and future land use plan, the first draft.
I imagine you also have a page or even just a paragraph describing, that 2 surveys were conducted.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so, because sometimes that,
Gets
you
lost.
forget, right? So then at least we can go back and say, no, we did a survey. We asked, we received responses from close to 900 people on
Yeah.
their survey, and this is the right direction.
And typically, we'll put the survey results as an appendix as well.
Okay.
And if you could also put in all the steps that you've taken, we had meetings on this
Yep.
day and different things like that.
Yep,
The
describe the process.
POCD team we should add in there.
Yep.
So, just so everybody knows who and what we did to get to this point.
Yep, and the questionnaires to other boards and commissions, everything will enumerate so that it's clear how well-informed the plan is. Okay. Good to hear. So I'll just end with our next steps again, is the workshop next week. And then we're really gonna start drafting that action agenda and future land use plan, and work on the whole entire POCD as well as that draft strategic plan. So if you have any input on those themes and goals as they stand right now, again, we're doing the workshop next week.
Is there I know we're not at this point yet, like an architectural projection of what's the future going to look like? Is it going to be New Englandy, or is it just going to be, a commuter stop, a rest area type architecture?
So that can be a strategy for the commission if design issues are a concern.
Right, but that was brought up, so I think we had a facade, like a facade.
Or do you mean for the town center?
The town center and the whole...
All corridors and
We can
commercial
paint
areas.
all the wax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's the trails with resting pavilions, more like New Englandy type of gazebos as opposed to, a couple of bleachers and move on.
Well, we can shape that too. We can do our part, we can shape some of
Right,
it, but
I was just wondering if it's worked into the big master plan. The intent was to look New Englandy as opposed to, a drive-through suburb.
There should be
But I
something
think
in the
that-
action plan about the facades of these building facades.
Yes.
We talked about that.
Yes.
yeah.
I don't know if it gets to the level of like a gazebo or, I
I don't know. I don't know either. That is definitely,
Well, yeah.
that's our responsibility too.
If we're
If something comes
planning-
up too.
If we're in planning stage, you know, we're talking about the police department, maybe, you know, we can get an ultra modern one, but for a few bucks more, will look
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, there's stuff we can put in that can generalize some stuff, but I don't think we can get into the specifics in a regulation.
Right,
So that might come under theme 1 of
Yeah.
preserve and protect the town's agricultural lands and rural character, and then the third bullet of protect the town's historical, scenic, and cultural resources.
Right.
Maybe it would be a
Yes.
more specific bullet right under that of
Yeah.
having a design district, maybe like looking at our design district standards.
But just, or just in general, I mean, it doesn't just have to be in the design districts. I mean, we should keep it kind of general, but, so, Ron, if we put something like that in the POCD, then when somebody goes to, let's say, build something, we can always go back to the POCD and say, well, when you build it, here's kind of the theme, and this is our POCD that it's in our town, so we can kind of
only-
shape that.
The only, that's true, the one caution is that I use like Dollar General as an example.
Oh, I'm not
So-
talking about
Oh, okay.
private, I'm talking about our, like, if
Oh,
we're talking
town?
about a town center
Okay.
or something like that,
right.
we can
Right,
shape that
okay,
without a regulation, but
gotcha.
yeah, that would be separate.
Right,
We
so
would need a
regulation,
more, we would
yep.
need a more specific regulation when
Okay,
it comes to private.
Yep.
So we can kind of shape that in here, so those we can add into,
Yeah, I'm just, I guess the bottom line is I don't want haphazard construction where, you know, there's no
rhyme or reason.
rhyme or reason for just slapping houses.
Yeah, we don't want an all-glass police station 3 stories. We would like something that fits to the character of the area and the town, and historic.
And I also think the police department wouldn't want a glass police station.
But I think you guys are forward-thinking in involving this as a part of your POCD while the police station is being designed, so that you are thinking about the entirety of the property while designing for that specific building. It's important.
so one topic that came up today actually is talking about town technology and making sure that if a phone system or computers are upgraded in one area of the town, maybe it's here at Park and Rec, that we're doing it so that this phone system can talk to the one in a town hall and we can just transfer, as opposed to, no, sorry, here's the phone number. Or same thing with the computers, so that we can share, you know, all share one server and only have one location. So where would that fit in here, or would it be part of the more like strategic plan?
It probably would be both.
Okay.
It would probably come under infrastructure,
Okay.
because it is infrastructure of the town and the municipal government. But then, as far as setting up criteria for expenditures in the strategic plan, it, you know, will establish criteria that would encompass that kind of expense in addition to, you know, fleet, vehicles, and buildings and the such, like.
Okay, that's helpful. And one other topic that has come up is making sure that areas of town are ADA accessible. So, not sure where that would fit in.
But that's already, well, can you expand on that? Because we, you know, when we do have something come in front of us, it has to be accessible.
Right, so there's building code, but then also
Newer,
just looking at
significant
newer or
renovations. Have to.
even just like sidewalks. Again, I know that there's the code that construction has to meet, but it's more of
I
just
got you.
making sure that it's accessible to all.
Yeah.
Was one topic that came
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So we have incorporated strategies around universal design. Even in private development, if you have a statement in your POCD that you're encouraging universal design, it can help you working with developers as they're, you know, adjusting their projects. So that's a fairly common strategy.
Even in open space too. You want to make sure it's
Right.
accessible.
Exactly.
Right. And then the only other thing I had is the housing.
Oh, no, excuse me. No, I'm sorry.
The housing plan, can you talk about that a little bit? Just what the state is looking to require and what we could include in here that hopefully would help us
Right.
go
So
forward?
with the change in law that you're referring to on the housing plan, the state has never really come back with a lot of clarity on what they're looking for. However, it talks about addressing your current housing stock, identifying your affordable stock now and your need for going forward, which will be and is already in the data analysis that we've done. And so we'll have strategies around housing because that has come up in some of the conversations. So we have been putting into POCDs in the last year and a half that it is intended for this POCD to serve as the housing plan per that statute. No one has
Challenged it?
No one from the Department of Housing has said yay or nay, and they haven't really done anything that we're aware of with that change in law. But for you to have it in there as an adopted plan, I think it behooves you in case they do ever decide to start using it somehow.
What was the change of law?
Requiring towns to
To
have,
have
is it a 5-year?
A
housing plan?
5-year affordable housing plan, basically.
They should start with New Haven.
And it was interesting.
We were at a conference,
that's right.
and so I asked the representative from New Haven what are you doing, guys? I said, I see New Haven, you see a lot more condos now down in New Haven.
Right.
You see a lot more restaurants, and all those places used to be, that I recall, were apartments. And I said, well, so what is your strategy? And she said, we don't really have one.
No.
And I was really surprised, especially for a city, when it comes to affordable housing and, extra units and stuff like that. I was really surprised at that.
Yeah, and it was interesting, at the time that law passed, we were actually working on the regional plan, and we had a discussion for, all of 5 minutes on whether the region should take it on, and could the region adopt a housing plan that all the communities could buy into and serve as each community's. That would take, I think, a lot of effort to get all the communities to buy into the same plan, but it is a thought.
And the component, the housing component of the plan, does it just talk generally about how we would look to increase our affordable housing stock in town to meet the state requirement? Or does it more
It is more general.
do an inventory of what we have?
It's an inventory, but you're going to have some strategies around increasing the diversity of housing stock you have, because it's not just affordability here in a primarily home ownership environment, just increasing the rental units, whether they're affordable or not, can help you achieve the diversity that you're looking for. So there'll be some strategies. We haven't heard a loud and clear voice from the committee or the public thus far on, a clear goal for this type of development in this place or anything like that.
Do you, so when you look at our inventory, did you take in consideration any active applications of potential? Because we do have one.
Yeah, you have that large one.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can footnote that in there.
Absolutely,
And I
we
don't
can.
know where that would fall, because it's over 55 housing.
Right.
But then it's like 20%, or it's a percentage that can go for
Any age?
for any age.
Right.
So if we can add that as just a footnote.
Sure.
Even though it's not started yet.
Sure.
Does it speak to getting this water capacity with Branford to try to, a long-range vision of getting more sewer on Route 80? Things, right? It speaks to that, right?
Yes, and so your future land use plan is basically depicting your goals and objectives in the map.
Yeah.
And so it will come into play strongly in the map. And actually, by law now, you have to include a sewer plan in your POCD. So we will be drawing lines on a map.
How often is that updated, the sewer plan? Is that
That's a good
yearly,
question.
or?
The WPCA, I think they are supposed to do it every 5 years.
Okay.
They may annually update,
Okay.
but I think they're supposed to do it every 5 years. But it's another new requirement on POCDs that you include a standalone sewer plan.
Anything else?
I think it was probably, you kind of generally stated it as transportation. I forget how you had it referenced, but I mean, I don't know, at one point we were trying to encourage like bike lanes too, things like that. So is that included in your
It will be.
transportation? Is
Yeah,
that lumped in that transportation bullet?
yes.
I had a conversation with somebody, so I'm not sure, maybe you would know or not, but like for our state roads, like let's just take 17 and 22 and 80. So when they restriped them, they restriped it a little wider than normally on your right-hand side. Those are all considered biking or pedestrian areas, correct? And does the state do that on some of these roads? Even though it doesn't say bike lane, but
So
It's just a shoulder.
it is just a shoulder. I don't
it's
think,
wider. It's wider than usual.
I don't recall off the top of my head what the state's bike map, they actually have a bike
Right.
plan. They will stripe bike lanes on state roads, but it's fairly rare. They're usually encouraging secondary roads. But we can look into that.
Because when I ride on 17 all the
Yeah.
time, and all of a sudden, when they redid the road and then restriped it, it gave me another like 6 to 8 inches. I mean, it made it so usually I had to ride right on the line. Now I'm still a little bit off. So I was wondering if that was a state, it was intentionally done that way, or somebody just misstriped it.
I know they misstriped it and they have to come back and
On 22, they did.
grind it and then move it over.
Oh, yeah.
You can see where they
So,
happen.
thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Great,
Thank you very
thanks.
much.
We'll see you next week then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Kieran, how are we getting advertisement on this for the public to attend to increase our numbers?
So I'm going to send a flyer to the schools so that they can distribute it. This is the flyer that Melanie and McBroom put together, which is great. I've been talking with with Pam Johnson from the Sound, so trying to get something in there. Totucket Times, the printing deadline just didn't work.
And Facebook.
Any other suggestions, right, Facebook?
I don't Twitter.
I think
but-
the town sends it out to like the parent community, because I know my wife got the
Yes,
survey.
well, I sent it to the schools,
Oh, good,
and so
yeah.
they have to, approve the flyer, and then they email it out.
They email it to
But the
them.
other thing that I thought of today is I was going to see if Anthony could do a reverse 911 call and call
Oh, that'd
us.
be awesome. Yeah, okay.
Because Roger offered to have sunflower seeds in the packets, so that's a draw. Come
Yeah,
pick up
yeah.
sunflower seeds, attend the workshop.
Yeah, we can do
That's a great idea.
a reverse call, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'll keep on pushing on Facebook. Somebody already has, a couple times. But I'll just,
Yeah.
It would be nice to see definitely a lot more than the last show.
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
all right, so before we get to other business, we'd like to amend the agenda to put in a, just add this as A, B, C, D, and just say it's a proper, discussion on property maintenance standards. So let's do that.
Under 8D,
8D, yep.
I'd like to amend the agenda to add under section, or create 8D, under other business, an agenda to talk about property maintenance standards.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anybody abstain? Seeing none, passes 4-0. All right. So the first other business, Carrie, we have a referral regarding the possible sale of property at 55 Tommy's Path.
So this is a referral from town council regarding the possible sale of 55 Tommy's Path, which is the open space off of Tommy's Path. It's a little over 3 acres, I believe. So just per statute, the requirement before the town sells a piece of land, so this would have to go out to bid, is that the Planning and Zoning Commission just has to either report favorably or unfavorably, and just think about the sale of the land.
So this is coming from 17 downward. Is it on the right?
No,
where
on
it's about
22.
evenly spaced? I meant 22, that's what,
Yep.
I'm sorry, 22
Yep.
going in.
Yep.
Is it the property on the right that has like evenly spaced, like maples or some kind of,
No, it's on the left.
it's on the left?
It's
That's not that
landlocked.
thing here, okay.
It's landlocked.
So
yeah.
Carrie, how did we get the property, how did the town land the
The
property?
town took it through back taxes.
Okay, right, that's what I thought, okay.
And this is the property, remember the land trust had been, we were trying to
That's right.
give it to the land trust, but then they wanted a survey, and so that's the next item on the agenda, which we'll kind of talk about, well,
Yeah.
the land trust, nothing has happened with the land trust, I guess, is the point with that, because
that's
they
why we're
had
selling.
required a survey. Well, right, the potential to sell, yes.
Oh, so the options are either do something with the land trust or sell it?
Or the town will just keep
Or
it.
keep it, yeah, one of the
Right.
three options.
Right.
Okay, all right.
So the question just for the commission is, would you report favorably or unfavorably on the sale of the land? It's wetlands, it's landlocked, there's
Land trust is a
no,
donation, so keep, donate to land trust or sell to a
the
developer?
question now is to just see if you would report favorably on bidding, on selling the land.
Would the land trust be someone that would bid on it?
No.
That's separate.
No, because the
Okay,
land
I just
trust, I
wanna
think,
understand that.
I know, it's
Okay,
confusing. The land trust would have been just a
Yeah, that's what I
transfer.
thought, okay.
Yeah, so-
But we had gone down that road, and there was a positive referral, favorable referral for that, to transfer it to the land trust, but then
They
the
want a
land
survey,
trust
yeah. Oh, I
wanted
understand,
a
yeah.
survey and all of that other stuff, so.
So there's three options. The one option we're talking is just to vote on whether we should go out to, put it out there and see what we can get for it. But then, even though somebody would do a bid on it, let me understand the process. And I don't know how much it's worth, but say the property's worth, we're asking $250,000 for it. If somebody comes in with $250,000, do we have to sell it, or can we say, you know what, we decided to hold on to it or do something else with it? We're not obligated to sell at that point, correct?
I don't know. I don't know, that's more of a procurement
Yeah,
question.
that's right.
Well, I'm
How
just
many
wondering.
acres is it?
It's just under, it's 3.3, I
Yeah.
wanna say,
Yeah, I
it's
think
How much of it's wetland though?
quite a bit,
quite a, yeah.
3.5.
Good majority.
like more than half.
Yeah, so can any of it be developed? Is it developable land?
Yeah, I think that
No,
is-
well, it has no frontage. So there's no,
Okay, so,
none of the parcel is on a road.
The town manager can decline any offer, even if it's for the price that the town's selling it for.
Okay.
The town, he does have that authority,
As the purchasing agent, I guess.
yes.
Because the only reason why is I just want to make sure that it sounds to me we're exploring options, and I just want to make sure that's the case, because we should explore options and see, and weigh it all out there. Develop, non-develop, keep it, land trust, so this would just be one piece in the puzzle, so.
Did you say this was a referral from
Town council.
town council? Did they have any direction, opinions?
No, I mean, at this stage, I feel like they were open to it, they're always looking for revenue. So it was
They were
kind of
open to
like,
sale, okay.
yes.
So,
If they could get money for land that we're not using,
right. It's on our roll, so we should probably, instead of just let it sit there, do something with it, and that's one of the options, so.
well, right now, so like Karen mentioned, there's no direct access to the road, so if the town kept it,
That's what it's already.
I know, I feel bad that
If the town kept it,
Can I just interject here? See, all right, I know we're about this.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I do, but
It's 100% wetland. It's landlocked.
100%?
Yes, and it's 3.7 acres.
You heard something about access?
yeah,
so
my
3.5 acres.
My question was, so,
I'm sorry.
if the town kept it the status quo, does Franny have easy access to maintain it if he ever had to?
I think there's an easement, isn't there an easement?
Oh, so David Lane's not, that's
No,
not.
no, 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 this is my
I don't know that there is.
I thought he said he'd be back there if he has.
This is the piece that.
Oh, yeah, if he,
Oh, so it's, oh, it doesn't have any, oh, gotcha. So it's landlocked, I gotcha.
Because here's the lane, right?
this is the piece.
Right, that's right. Where's the road? Here's the road.
Yep,
And what's this piece here?
that's the one that was subdivided into 3 lots.
And who owns this?
It's privately owned now.
Okay. Oh, so there's really no access? Wait,
Privately owned.
this is here.
Okay.
That's septic, but this was never developed.
Oh, right, this is the area.
This is the area right here. Here's the property line.
Yeah.
Even the land trust
Yeah.
doesn't have anything.
So maybe it just gets in, yeah.
You might just go across,
Yeah.
but
Can't even-
I don't think
In principle,
there's,
can't even, they can't
to
use
date,
that to be trespassing.
there's no buildings here, no buildings here, no buildings here.
You don't have that, do you?
So there's really no reason for him to
It's
maintain
landlocked.
anything.
So,
You've seen it, right? You know where it is?
yeah, yep. So, I mean, do you have a draft?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Where is it?
We don't need it.
I do, yeah.
So, I mean, my recommendation would be to put it out there and just see what our option is, but
Yeah.
if somebody want to make a draft motion to,
Do we need to discuss any further or nothing?
oh, yeah, no, we can read the motions and
Yeah.
discuss a little more, yeah.
I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission report favorably on Connecticut General Statute Section 8-24 referral from the Town Council regarding a possible sale of land located at 55 Commons Path, owned by the Town of North Branford.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
So going back to my question, is there easement if the town kept status quo for if we ever had to maintain it?
There's nothing on the.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
There's not an easement.
So that'd be pretty difficult for, heaven forbid, there's a storm or something that the town had to do, it'd be very difficult to get back there for them to do.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's landlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to go to the other property owner to get,
It's not
So it's some
hugely
access.
buildable. I mean, Ron says 100%.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know if it's 100%, but it's a lot of wetlands at least, so, yeah.
see no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain. You abstain, okay.
I wasn't gonna say it this time, good thing. It passes 3-0 and Ron abstained. Okay, the next order of business is discussion regarding open space at 55 Tommy's Path and the use of open space funds to complete a survey of the property.
So for this, I would recommend that we even just continue this until we see what happens with the land. As we've talked about, the cost of the survey doesn't really make sense. So I think we have to see what happens with the land, and then if nothing happens with it, then, you know, what may end up happening with that 3-lot subdivision is that the open space that was created as a result of that goes into a homeowners association, and then the 55 Tommy's Path maybe stays as either, it goes private, or it becomes just, it stays town-owned
Right.
and doesn't join with the other open space.
So Gary, I had one quick question on this. I think the committee had a question on this going back was, the land trust, was it gonna be ongoing that any piece of land that was gonna be given to them from the town needed a survey, and then that terminology that they were asking for on this?
So Attorney Fertel asked that we come up with a checklist of steps or requirements that a developer would have to provide as part of the creation of open space, or dedicate, I should say, transfer of open space from the developer to the land trust, which makes sense. In this case, it's a little different because it's going from the town to the land trust, so I think every situation may be unique. Well, I think we should still have them come in and talk with us about how we can make this work, because there are a lot of parcels of open space that are mainly wetlands that the town doesn't want to expend the resources and time to maintain and would like to see go to the land trust. But if every transfer is going to require a survey and a warranty deed and all those things, then I don't think it will work.
And we never went down that road before, so.
Right.
I would like to know why all of a sudden we have to do that, so.
Exactly.
So we can have that discussion.
Okay.
All right, the other business, C, discussion regarding signs for community events, such as Earth Day? Okay.
So Bill Savastano is here, and he's been working on the Earth Day event, which is coming up April 27th. And given just the recent discussion about signs and what's permitted and what's not, I asked that he just come in and talk with the commission about what he'd like to do. And in our regulations, it does allow for community events to be exempt, as long as, the signs only are out there for a certain period of time, which I'll look up the exact regulation while he describes what he'd like to do. But from what I understand, it's all on residential lots, and, the homeowner would be required for maintenance, but Bill?
Yes, thank you. On the 27th of April, we'll be having our second initiative on Earth Day. And last year we had some yard signs around town, finding about 2 dozen. But we need to really get the awareness out there, and the easiest way over the winter was just to use the product. We have a plastic recycling program in town, and all this whole sign costs us 20 cents for the stick, actually. It's recycle paint, recycle the wood pellet bags, etc. But the idea is next week to put a social media ad out, asking volunteers to come to Public Works on the 13th, pick up a bundle of these signs, 6 in a bundle, take them back to the neighborhoods. Obviously put one in front of their house, and then in front of the neighborhood, any friendly house on the street, and maybe the local intersection, now on 17, 22, or 80. And basically, that's the permission we're looking for. Over and above that, if you remember last year, again, that was our first year in this initiative, and we did have 2 big 4x8 signs. One was next to the town hall on the green there. We still have that sign, I'd like to use that one again. And the other one was down at Wall Field, which is back off the road. Anyway, and the last 3 actually is 2 days probably before the event. I just had a little bigger sign to put along the fence line and next to the softball field by the police station. This is, because it's ours, it's going to, I think, get some notice. And I guess the only things we really have discussion further about signs, we do have 4 of the sandwich boards we use from time to time. During the season, we have 3 electronic waste collections, and we put those sandwich boards out. We put them both the Town Hall Green and the Northwood Green. And we also use from May, it's the same sign, just turned around on the inside. From May to October, we have the Has Waste Central, which is, we pay for it. Town pays for it, it belongs to, so our town residents can bring all their oils and the other waste that they can't bring anywhere else, because we don't have a transfer station. So we pay to belong to that, so we have those sandwich board signs at Town Green, Northwood Green, and the other 2 where we put the ad signs. We put them on both ends of town, but we have 4 of them. Yeah, usually Hank Petrosky and Richmond. But so that's our big issue. There's obviously update signs, like I said. We're not looking at the main roads except for these 3, 2 days before the event, so to catch their eye, so they get down at Wall Field.
Are you on, is it the recycling committee?
Yes,
Yeah, the recycling committee, okay, I assume that.
Barry is here from the recycling committee also.
Yeah.
The regulation, I mean,
So the
first of all I know all the signs that you put out there, and you do a really good job of putting them up and taking care of them, and the whole deal, so, yeah.
Yeah.
No issues there.
Oh, but I didn't mention that these people will be instructed, like I say, to put them on that street, certain locations, they'll be, part of the deal is that they go back and pick them up the day after.
Yeah.
the event.
So the regulation says under special events in the sign section, notwithstanding the provisions of this section, the commission may, upon written application made to it and by resolution, authorize the establishment of temporary signs for periods not to exceed 10 consecutive days and totaling more than 30 days in any calendar year for the purpose of announcing special events having a community purpose. So I guess one question is, would the commission be okay if a written request was made to me as the staff planner? And then I would just double check to make sure it doesn't, exceed the 10 consecutive days, or, if you have any issue with that, as long as it's not no more than 30 and they bring them in.
Yeah, so I just put a note on that, let's review, let's revise, 10
Okay.
days is, I don't think is enough. I mean, it's the first time this came up, but, it'd be nice, it'd probably be nice to have something out there for at least 2 weeks before an event, like at least 14 days. I mean, so maybe we can take another look at that regulation down the road to give somebody a little more time to announce an event, especially when it comes to the community.
Right.
So, 10 days is basically just 1 week notice, but, if you just want to work with Carrie on that, that's perfect, yeah. So,
Thank you.
yeah, do we need a vote on that, or just,
No,
we're good with that? Okay, perfect. Okay, and then the last item that Bill amended the agenda for, the town council, and I'll just read what it says. The town council took action at its April 2nd, 2019 meeting to create a subcommittee to study the issue of property maintenance standards. The town attorney recommended the formation of a 5-member subcommittee with 2 members from the town council, 2 members from the planning and zoning commission, and 1 member from the public. Please add this item for consideration in our next P&Z commission meeting. So, what they're looking to do is put together a committee to come up with property maintenance and in-flight standards. And they would like 2 people from this committee to join in that subcommittee. Right, 2 people from this commission to join that subcommittee.
Correct.
So,
I already asked the town council on Tuesday if you guys are willing. I'd be in favor of doing it. I was at the meeting, so.
Good, so I don't have to
Bill,
volunteer.
are you interested?
No, you
I didn't do it, if there's no one else, I'd be
It's
more than
up
happy
to
to
you.
do it, yeah.
I mean, Trish
Unless
is
someone had a burning desire, I would do it. No problem. If you have a burning desire, I'll do it, no problem.
No, that's fine. All right, so, Ron, can you make, our recommendation would be for Bill and,
Okay.
Yeah, you need a,
Stipend, yes. Oh, you're going to say that? Right.
Bill and
Just the word I was gonna say.
I'll tell you what, we'll double your salary.
you start wearing 2 hats, they're gonna have to pay it. 2 or 3
Yeah,
hats.
we
You need a.
I'm at the triple stay.
Oh, no, I don't know how
that's-
often they're in it.
That's what we should add it to the POCD.
Stipend.
Yes.
And just leave it in there for, so like 200 years from now, somebody can look and say, look what those guys did, they wanted to get paid, and look, we finally got paid 200 years later,
It would be funny to put a line in there to double the salary of planning and zoning,
there you go.
just to
that's
see if
it.
anyone knows it.
Yeah, that'd be well.
Again, for the record, we don't get paid.
Do you have, how often they're going to meet?
I have no idea.
Hey, Bill, if you can't make it, just throw it
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. I mean,
Maybe Trish would go, I can go, same thing else, if you can't
Figure
make
it out.
something, just put it out there, one of us will go.
Exactly.
I think they're trying to time it so that way it was like right before either like our meeting or the town council meeting or something like
Yes.
that.
Oh,
Trying to
good.
make it so it's like on the same night, so that way you're not eating like another night of your week.
And some town, I was telling Carrie, and I don't recall, when I was away, I was reading a local newspaper online, and somebody just passed it. I don't know if it was on the shoreline, or like Milford or something like that, somebody, they did a pretty good job of it, but they just, I mean, they had some fines and stuff like that, which sometimes are, but it did a good job of it.
So at the town council meeting on the second, Mike, town manager, actually mentioned that article, and I think they have that, that whole thing, that the town council has and everything.
Yeah, it was a
as-
pretty
as
good one.
reference.
Yeah. All right, so for town planners report, receipts and scheduling for the next few meetings.
So I did receive an application for a proposed text amendment regarding farm events. And this focuses only on parcels zoned industrial, or I should say located in the I-2 industrial zone, and a minimum size of 20 acres. So I looked through the application, it's complete, so I would recommend just scheduling a public hearing date of the May 2nd.
All right,
But I will pass this down in case you're interested.
what's this? This is
That's the application.
Okay.
And you'll get it in your packet
All right.
as well, but,
Anything else?
no.
All right. For the next meeting, April 18th, anybody know that they're not gonna be here?
I'm not here for the thing next week,
Okay.
but I'm here on the 18th.
The 18th, I will not be here. I'll be in DC for
Okay.
meeting.
All right, Carrie, I'm gonna have to let you know, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, I'm gonna try to make next
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be in Newark, and I'm not sure what time I'll be back, but on the 18th, the same thing. I have us, I'm in Newark on the 18th, and I don't know what time,
Okay.
that could be, that one might be tougher than next week, on the 18th.
And-
So I'll let you
right.
know.
Okay, so no Alex.
Why don't you start working on the alternative date, because I'm not sure about the 18th either.
Okay,
So you got a lot of
I know.
I'm here.
Are there any?
I actually will not be here. So I already have Tom.
So-
I already have Tom lined up.
Okay, so why
as
don't
backup.
we do this then, since there's no public hearings for the 18th?
You know what there is, actually?
What's that?
The sign,
What time?
the text amendment for the sign regulation regarding industrial zone.
We read that, or did?
Yes.
We wrote it.
Yes.
Oh, we can table that,
True.
right? Yeah. So let's, I mean,
It was advertised though as but if we don't have a quorum, then we don't have a quorum. So
Right.
then we can choose a different date.
let's say we just,
Could we just look at,
do we have to, can we just move it to the second?
Yes,
Because I mean,
Yes, that's true. That's the
I don't
only-
know how much is on the agenda, but
May
it is,
2nd?
yes.
move everything to May 2nd, just cancel the April 18th meeting, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot on the agenda.
Well, and if we don't have a quorum, that's really the
Well-
reason.
Well, yeah, but, yeah, no, I'm just saying, yeah, we're not gonna have a
We
quorum.
don't have
so-
a quorum yet.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it.
No.
But what it says, instead of making another
Or
meeting in place of the 18th, because we don't have a quorum on the 18th, instead of making
Yes,
a
special
special meeting, just move everything to the second, because there really isn't much on the agenda.
We don't have a quorum, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just want to cancel it now so everybody knows.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll do that.
okay.
So, do we need to do a motion on that or anything, or we just cancel it?
I would just cancel and
Okay.
then just it will be,
Okay.
the next meeting will be May 2nd
Yep.
at Town Hall.
Can I ask a question on this? So,
No. Is it, are you talking about this thing you just read?
yeah, I read anything.
No, yeah, no. It's a public hearing.
No, it's not anything specific to this, it's just in general on this.
It's
Okay.
just- We shouldn't
Well,
bring
it's,
in.
I'll spin it another way, and it's a
Okay.
fair question, is are we going to, we talked about doing the farm event text amendment that the town would
Right.
propose for all farm events.
Right.
Are we doing anything with that?
I have not drafted anything. This came in quicker
Yeah, no, I
than,
understand, I understand that.
right. That is a question that we could look at. And that's a question that I need to ask the town attorney, which is if we have an application for farm events only in industrial zones, could the commission modify it to say, actually, we want to permit it in all zones,
Yeah.
just as a hypothetical?
That was my question.
Right. So
Or-
I don't know if that,
Include
if you
that as
can
a
make that
subsection
modification.
Include
Right.
say, industrial as a subsection of the overarching one.
Right. And I don't know if that's enough of a change that it would actually deem a new application, or if, because the way that it's advertised is, or will be advertised, is just for industrial zones.
Yeah, yep, no, I understand that, yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Seeing none? Ron?
No, Alex.
It's you today.
That's my honor today.
That's a great honor.
I know.
And you for a long time.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I abstain.
That's a good one, Ron, that's a good one. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 3-0 and Ron abstained.
Who wants some more time? I didn't like it.